4 straight division titles. A 5th is in jeopardy because of key injuries and a Minnesota resurgence. Now with the offense in the hands of a third-string quarterback, the pressure falls on the defense to live up to its Monsters of the Midway moniker. For Wayne Fontes, the mission is different. Lead the Lions to respectability and keep the head coaching job permanently. His defense has shown improvement, but the offense is in question. Detroit needs a big day out of its ground attack if they expect to do any celebrating today. Again, happen today if the Chicago Bears defeat the Detroit Lions here at sold-out Soldier Field and the Vikings are upset at Green Bay, the Bears will win the NFC Central Division title. Otherwise, they'll have to wait next week for the showdown against the Vikings in Minnesota. There is the win, not much of it, and fortunately for the fans, the sun has come out in force. It is a cold day in Chicago, as you might expect, and the fans, young and old, have come prepared for this one. The temperature as we get underway is 17 degrees. That's 6 degrees higher than it was an hour ago, but there's a good wind chill here, and the wind has picked up now to 9 miles an hour. As we welcome you to Soldier Field, everyone, I'm Dick Stockton, and Mike Ditka told us yesterday that he'll be peeking at the scoreboard to see how the Vikings are doing, and we will as well. But the story with the Chicago Bears today, Jim Harbaugh again gets the call at quarterback, but his backup will be Mike Tomczak, who's still not 100%. And Dan Fouts, I guess we sensed a bit of unease with the Bears in looking at them at practice.
Well, here they are. They got the best record in the NFC, and it's been a very mentally draining year with all the injuries they've had. They talked about giving us a serious effort today, but you know they're going to be watching the scoreboard.
But if the Vikings lose, they can win it all. It'll be interesting to see how they play it. As far as the Lions are concerned, they really have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose, everything to gain, and the man who has the most to gain is their interim coach, Wayne Fontes. Fontes told us yesterday that Lions are coming in here with a roar, not a meow. He's creating a bit of a bravado for Detroit Lions.
Bears have won 8 straight in the second longest rivalry in the National Football League next to the Chicago-Green Bay rivalry. The Bears have won the toss, and they have not lost this year when they have won the coin toss, and they will elect to receive. Dennis Gentry and Thomas Sanders are back deep for the Bears, and it'll be Ed Murray kicking off for the Detroit Lions. The Lions have won 2 of their last 3 games, 4-10 on the year, and Wayne Fontes has them all pumped up. Earlier in the year at the Silverdome, the Bears crushed the Lions 24-7. So the stage is set, and we're underway. Murray's kick is short, and it'll be taken by Sanders on the 13. Sanders with a good return brings it out to the 35-yard line, where William White makes the stop for the Detroit Lions. So Jim Harbaugh, who was ineffective against the Rams Monday night, will make his second start. He'll face the Detroit defense of Eric Williams, Jerry Ball, and Keith Ferguson up front. Good linebacking core of George Jamison, Chris Spielman, a good rookie, Dennis Gibson, and Michael Kofer. Jerry Holmes and Bruce McNorton are the cornerbacks, and rookie Benny Blades. Devon Mitchell are the safety. On first down, Neil Anderson dives forward for nearly 5, and Jerry Ball, the nose tackle, is there to make the stop. Rest of the offense for the Bears, Matt Suhey joins Anderson in the backfield. Dennis Gentry and Dennis McKinnon are the wide receivers, and rookie James Thornton is the tight end. A change up front. John Wojciechowski replaces Keith Van Horn at right tackle. Otherwise, it's Covert, Mortz, Hilgenberg, and Thayer. There's Wojciechowski as Van Horn has a bruised leg, and he's been limping all week. Second down and 5 for the Bears at the 35. This time it's Matt Suhey, and Suhey is stopped for no gain by Chris Spielman, who's been an outstanding rookie, and a slight flare-up of tempers right around midfield. Nothing serious there.
Well, that's exactly what Wayne Fontes wants to see today out of his Detroit Lions. He challenged the Bears wide receivers earlier in the week, talking about how hard his defensive backs will hit them. They created a lot of turnovers last week against the Packers. Now the Lions are going to see if they can do it today against the Bears.
Fontes said he wasn't trying to be intimidating, although Dennis McKinnon, the Bears wide receiver, kind of chuckled and said, well, we'll go out and hope that we can handle the Lions secondary. So
a lot of good quotes coming out of Wayne Fontes early.
It'll be third down and 5. Out of the shotgun, Harbaugh Flips it out to Anderson, and Anderson is not going to get anywhere. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, where Bruce McNorton followed him all the way, and that will bring up a 4th down, and the Chicago Bears will kick it away.
Obviously, Mike Ditka wants to give Harbaugh a couple of early completions. Didn't really challenge the Lions that time with a ball down the field. Gave it off to Anderson on the swing and didn't pick up the necessary yardage.
Pete Manley goes back for the Lions, and kicking will be Brian Wagner. Got off to a slow start this year, but has come on and is 3rd in the conference in punting coming into this week. Wagner kicking into the wind, and Manley calls for a fair catch at the 25-yard line. That was a 35-yard kick, and so the Detroit Lions will go on offense, and it'll be Rusty Hilger, who has had the definite edge over Chuck Long, who is slow coming back from injury. There's Hilger, rangy, 6'4" former Raider. The defense for the Chicago Bears: Al Harris, Steve McMichael, Dan Hampton, and Sean Smith up front. Rivera, Singletary, and Morrissey are the linebackers. And the secondary of Richardson and Jackson at cornerback, Duerson and Douglas for safety. 1st down on the 26. Second back is Gary James, and James crosses the 30-yard line, where Vesti Jackson is there to make the play. So James is in the backfield along with James Jones. Pete Manley and Jeff Chadwick are the wide receivers, and a rookie, Pat Carter, is the tight end. The offensive line: Lomas Brown, Kevin Glover, Steve Mott, Joe Milinchik, and Harvey Salem. Up front, the Detroit Lions have been a woeful running team this year, and Hilger told us that if we're going to move the ball, it has to be through the air. 2nd down and 6 at the 30. Here's Gary James, and James is short of a 1st down by about 3 yards. Ron Rivera, the outside linebacker, making the stop.
But that play gives you an indication of just what the Lions are thinking about. Wayne Fonts, a couple of years back, coached with John Robinson, the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams at USC, and spent quite a few hours on the phone this week. Of course, Robinson's Rams had a great game last Monday night against the Bears. The Lions hope to do some of the same type of things. That play that time was a counter. One of the things that you have to do against the Bears, because Mike Singletary is so good at reading your blocking patterns.
You saw Eric Sanders come in for Kevin Glover at left guard. It will be 3rd down and 3 for Detroit. No score, just the start of things. Hilger out of the shotgun, and his first pass is incomplete, intended for Carl Bland. And that'll bring up 4th down. So each team has had the ball once. And coming in to kick now will be Jim Arnold. Arnold is the top kicker in the NFC. In fact, Arnold and Wagner actually are 1-2 in the conference. Dennis McKinnon goes back deep for Chicago. End-over-end kick will bounce at about the 30 and takes a Detroit roll and will go out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. A 49-yard kick that time by Arnold, and so it'll be the Bears with another chance in a scoreless game.
The Subaru Justy is the lowest.
Can start. Nothing to rave about against the Rams, and let's take a look at some of the top quarterbacks in their first start.
Well, it's nothing nothing we can say about that guy that's in 3rd place there, but the important thing is what is the surrounding cast, and Harbaugh has an outstanding surrounding cast. Neil Anderson is a wonderful guy to hand the ball off to, and he's got a great offensive line.
1st down on the 18-yard line. Goes in motion. Neil Anderson gets 2 yards, and that's all. Keith Ferguson on the tackle.
One thing that Wayne Fonts told us yesterday when we asked him what type of game do you expect from the Bears, he says it wouldn't surprise him if the Bears took the air out of the ball and just handed it off almost every down. They have an inexperienced quarterback. They're really one of the best rushing teams in the NFL, and it wouldn't surprise him if Neil Anderson doesn't carry the ball all day long.
Bears are sending in their plays through their tight ends. Caposo, number 86, is in there now on 2nd down and 8 at the 20-yard line of Chicago. Harbaugh, he can run, and he's being chased. Loads it up, and it's caught. Good enough for a first down on the 36-yard line, and that's Wendell Davis. Bears #1 pick out of LSU, a 16-yard gain. Good pressure by Jerry Ball on this play.
This is one thing that Harbaugh talked about as far as his maturity as a quarterback's concerned. He wants to run the ball only in the most dire need, and this is a situation where he had the opportunity to run it, but he decided, hey, listen, I'm going to try and complete that ball down the field. It was a very dangerous pass, but one that Wendell Davis came down with.
Davis is in at wide receiver along with Ron Morris, who Harbaugh said was his favorite receiver in practice. Let's see if they go to him on first down. Anderson on the pitch, and he is bottled up in a hurry. Detroit doing a good job against the Bears running attack. Michael Kofer along with Chris Spielman, and we mentioned at the top the Lions, really, despite their record, have a great group of linebackers, particularly Kofer.
Well, Mike Ditka considers Kofer to be the best outside linebacker in the NFL. Now, that's saying quite a bit when you think about some of the guys that play that position. But Kofer is a guy that the Bears will try to run the ball at today. They do not want him to chase plays down from behind to run all over the field because that is his strength.
2nd down and 9. The Bears on their own 37-yard line. 8:45 remaining in the first quarter. And on the draw play, Anderson, and once again, the Lions read it well, and Chris Spielman is right there to make the tackle. Spielman, rookie out of Ohio State.
Well, they say that imitation's the highest form of flattery. Well, the Bears defense is being used by almost every team in the league now. The Lions that time were in the Bear defense, and Mike Ditka says, hey, this is a great defense. And the reason a lot of teams are using it because it's effective. We even have trouble when we go up against it. Spielman has really developed into an outstanding linebacker in this league.
Wayne Font says it reminds him of some of the old Pittsburgh Steelers linebackers who were intelligent and controlled the game. It's quite a compliment. 3rd down and 8 on the 38-yard line. 4 wide receivers in for the Bears. Harbaugh gets hit as he lets go of the ball. And it was Keith Ferguson who stormed in. So right now you'd have to give a good grade to the Lions defensive line and not so much to the Bears offensive line.
Wow, this is really something that worried Ditka coming into this ball game is just how will the Lions play? Will they be mile high and playing very aggressively? Well, I think he has his answer.
Brian Wagner will punt for the 2nd time, and there goes Pete Mandley back for the Lions. Fonts has victories over Green Bay, 2 wins, but it could be a feather in his cap if he can beat Chicago here this afternoon, even though this may not be a must game for Chicago. Penalty marker down, and a line drive kick by Wagner is short and goes out of bounds at the 35-yard line of Detroit. A 27-yard kick, and there is a flag. Fred Wyant is our referee today.
Offside, number 45.
Well, that penalty really hurts the Lions because that was a terrible punt by Wagner. The Lions would have had wonderful field position, but now the Bears will have to kick it again.
That's Rafael Cherry, former Washington Redskin.
In fact, Rafael Cherry used to play a little quarterback back at his college days at the University of Hawaii.
So Wagner will kick it again, moving up 5 yards. Manley back once more. It's a cold afternoon, but the temperature has gone up and the sun is bright here. So it's not quite as bad as people were led to believe last night. Not too much better on that kick, but the ball gets by Manley. And as a result, it'll be downed at the 21-yard line. A 37-yard kick. John Addix downed it there. So the Lions go back on offense. Still 0-0.
Hill when other cars are over.
Abated, but the field is hard, and despite the fact that it was covered, and the Bears equipment man had to go back to Lake Forest College, their training facility, to bring back the AstroTurf or the turf shoes because of the hardness of the field.
Well, you notice the cleats, it looks now that they're digging in, but as this day goes on, this field's going to get icy hard, and those rubberized bottom-soled shoes really could come in handy.
Lions lost 14 yards of the punts because of the penalty. They're on the 21. Hilger calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. First down. Play fake. At time. Complete. No. Incomplete. James Jones was there and couldn't hold on. Hilger told us, he said, you know, there are hitter's slumps in baseball. He says, right now, I think our receivers have a catching slump. They've been dropping a lot lately.
Well, they haven't had a lot of success in anything they've done this year on their offense. And Hilger says, well, I'm just going to keep throwing as hard as I can and hope that they'll catch him. There you see a really catchable ball. And Jones just didn't come up with the grab. But they may be in a slump, but maybe more of a case of confidence. Catching the ball is so much eye-hand coordination and believing that you're going to get it done.
Second down and 10. Lions on their 21-yard line. No score. Bears shift their defense. The pitch to James Jones. And Vesty Jackson will knock him out of bounds at the 25-yard line. A pickup of 4. So it'll be third down. Last time the Lions beat a winning team was the opening game of 1986 when they beat the Minnesota Vikings.
We talked about how big this game is for Wayne Fontes. His only 2 wins have been against the Green Bay Packers, and this team he's facing today is a winning team.
Yep. 11-3, as good as there is in the lead. Snow flurries have increased on 3rd and 6. Lions on their own 25-yard line. Hilger going for Bland and overthrows him. He was covered downfield by David Tate, one of the nickel backs for the Bears. Dan Hampton put pressure on, and Hilger got out of that danger. But it's 4th down, and Arnold will come in to kick for the Lions.
Hilger really had a chance to create a big play there by avoiding the rush, stepping up in the pocket, and then letting it go downfield. He just threw it with a little bit too much steam on it, or Bland might have had a long touchdown.
Arnold will kick from the 10. McKinnon back. And on the run, McKinnon now called for the fair catch.
McKinnon made the fair catch
at the 40-yard line. Good field position for the Bears, the best for either club thus far when we return to Soldier Field. Bears getting a breather. 1st and 10 at the 40-yard line. Harbaugh completes the pass to Capboso, the tight end. He's got a first down and gets into Lion territory. A gain of 15 on the play, but right now for an NFL Today update, let's check in with Brent Musburger. Brent?
Dick, here's one that Bear fans are going to love. The Green Bay Packers have scored first on Minnesota. That's the first touchdown that defense has given up in 18 quarters. Keith Woodside got it. Back to Dick.
And you never know what happens in football. Green Bay already with a win over Minnesota in Minnesota, leading 7-0. Capboso, who just caught that pass, shaken up for the Bears, who have lost their regular tight end Emery Moorhead with a broken leg, may be out for the year.
Well, Boso is on the right side of the screen here. He's going to go down on just a simple hook pattern. Neil Anderson was flanked out wide to the right. There you see the big hole right now off the line of scrimmage, and now he gets sandwiched and goes down with some type of injury. This is really critical, though, because if he can't continue, as you said, Dick, they only have one tight end, and that is the rookie James Thornton.
Boso is up. He seems to be all right. And even the Lions give him a pat on the back.
A pat on the back now, and another hard hit next time he catches the ball.
You know, getting back to Neil Anderson, he has not been a ball of fire thus far. He has gained 9 yards in 4 carries, but with that 9 yards, Anderson now needs only 30 yards to become the 5th Bear to gain 1,000 in a season. First down for the Bears on the Lion 46. And he'll get a chance for some more as Anderson off left tackle picks up close to 5 yards. Chris Spielman and Michael Kofer on the stop.
Let's take a look at one of the main things the Bears want to do. They want to block against Michael Kofer with a tight end. There comes Thornton out with the block. Good job of contained by Kofer, and Spielman again comes over to make another tackle. but I got to believe that Neil Anderson's a good bet to get that 1,000 yards. The Bears have averaged on the ground almost 150 yards per game, and he's, of course, got the load of that.
Caposo's all right. He's back in the game for the Bears. Second down, call it 6. Harbaugh with time. He's got Anderson out of the backfield. Stopped short of the first down by George Jameson, who had a big game last week in the win over Green Bay.
Harbaugh showing me that he's really learning about playing quarterback position now. Off the play fake that time, he looked deep for Bozo across the middle, but showed that he has the maturity, or he's starting to learn a little bit about the game. He dumped it off short, picked up some nice yardage.
He is 4 for 5 for 36 yards is Harbaugh, and I think he respects the Detroit defense. He says they're ever been as good as the Los Angeles Rams. That may be a bit of an exaggeration, but he is playing as if he respects the Lion defense.
Playing smart football so far.
Third down and 1 for the Bears on the Lion 37. Here's Matsui, and he's not going to get it. Matsui, knocked back, might have lost a yard. Michael Koper and Chris Spielman. We've already mentioned their names a few times, and that will bring up 4th down.
Boy, you wonder about that play call. Here they send their top rusher in motion to lead for Matsui running wide. Sui is better between the tackles going straight at people, and I got to believe that I'd rather have Neil Anderson carrying that ball in a 3rd and short situation.
Mike Ditka will play the percentages and send in Brian Wagner to kick. Pete Manley will go way back for the Lions. So the Lion defense has been superb against the Bears running attack. Good kick by Wagner. The Lions will let it bounce, and it comes back and is down by the Bears at around the 10-yard line. Dante Jones was there, along with John Shannon.
Can I help you?
And if that ever holds up, a Bear victory would nail it down today. Goes outside and is stopped. So the inside handoff and the sweep out of the shotgun doesn't work, and Keith Ferguson makes an alert play on Anderson, and it's 4th down.
Really another questionable call on 3rd and short. Out of the shotgun formation, the underneath handoff and the sweep, but the Lions really played it well. Ferguson got out, defeated the interference, and made the play.
So Kevin Butler, who has hit 9 of his last 10 field goal attempts, including 6 in a row, will attempt a 35-yard field goal with the punter Brian Wagner holding. And the kick is good. 7 in a row for Butler. The Lion defense held, but the Bears take the lead 3-0. Morris and Carl Painter deep. Bears have had a big edge in time of possession. And it'll be Randall Morris, a couple of yards in the end zone, running it out. And is hit hard. And penalty markers fly. It's amazing he held on to the ball with that hit by Mickey Pruitt. Good-looking rookie.
I think they're going to pick that flag up, Dick.
No flag. 1st down.
You're right.
But that was a great hit, though. The fur flew on that one, didn't it? This is the really the advantage of having an outstanding kickoff, because when Morris got this ball, he had no wedge. Boy, that's a great lick there by Mickey Pruitt.
A rookie free agent out of Colorado. So here are the Lions.
It's a nice way to make an impression.
Starting out on their own 23-yard line. And it's James Jones for a couple of yards. Steve McMichael making the stop. The Bears have had the edge in field position thus far, and look at the edge in time of possession. Nearly or over 12 minutes to under 4 minutes for the Lions, who really haven't gotten anything going. Of course, they've been hurt by some drop passes.
Oh, the drop passes have hurt them all year, plus their anemic running attack. They are trying to go straight at the Bears now, not having a lot of success with that.
Second down and 7 on the 26 for the Lions. This time it's Gary James. James going outside. Appears to have a first down. Mike Singletary making the stop, and it's the second first down of the game for the Detroit Lions. James brings it out to the 35-yard line. Singletary, who's having a marvelous season for Chicago.
A lot of people are touting him for most valuable player in the league, and that is his goal. You don't hear many defensive players talk about that, but he said that he's made the ultimate commitment this year. He only wants to play for 2 more years. He wants to make this year his best ever.
And he's done it. Right now, this is the Lions' deepest penetration, their own 34. And on first down, Tony Page breaks the tackle and bursts forward. Tony Page appeared to be stopped, and he broke out of the pack. And Page, with a big gain of 20 yards, is finally brought down by Mike Richardson, but not before he gets into Bear territory at the 46.
Fantastic run. Here's Singletary. Let's see who blocks him. But the guy that misses the tackle is number 97, Sean Smith. Great job of coming out by Steve Mott, the center, on Singletary. But Painter just never quit, and really outstanding run. Came very close. Or actually, Anthony Page never quit, and he came close to really going a long way.
He's a former New York Jet.
He's a big guy, too, for a short guy, 5'11", about 240.
Stays in the game along with Gary James, and a first down on the Bear 46. Hilger. Now both Hilger and the intended receiver Gary James lost their footing. He dropped the pass, but in all fairness to James, he couldn't hold on and fell down.
Well, we're noticing how the field may be getting a little bit icier. This is a prescription athletic turf field, brand new field this year, and what they have underneath it's a radiant heating where they send hot water through some pipes down about 4 or 5 or 6 inches to keep the field from freezing over. This system is going to be tested this afternoon.
And I guess near the benches they do have some pipe that do heat the benches to a point. Second down and 10. Lions trail the Bears 3-0. Here comes a blitz. Hilger rolls out, and he completes it to James Jones, who gets by a tackler, and Jones finally brought down at the 42 of Chicago by Jim Morrissey. Al Harris had missed the tackle on Jones out of the backfield. They look comfortable. Looks like a balmy Miami Sunday afternoon.
Well, you see Kozlowski there. There's Walter Payton. You know, he's here in spirit, wishes he could be out there on the field. Neil Anderson, of course, looking for that 1,000 yards this afternoon. But the field is starting to freeze up a little bit. And I know one thing, James Jones is having a lot of trouble with his footing.
Third down and 8 for the Lions. Hilger. And the pass is caught by Manley, and Pete Manley will have a first down before he trips up. Inside the Bear 30. Mike Singletary on the stop. That's good for 17 yards, and the first time the Lions have gone to Manley today.
Well, Manley is going to come in motion and then down and across. Dave Doerson has the coverage. This is a great throw by Hilger as he sneaks it in between Doerson and the linebacker Singletary right there. They collide, and then Manley, if he doesn't lose his footing right there, might have had an even bigger gain. Nice conversion, though, on third down, something the Lions haven't been able to do all year long.
First down on the 28 of the Bears. So the Lions with easily their best offensive drive of the game. Moving ahead to the 25 is James Jones. Steve McMichael making the tackle.
You know, what's really interesting about the attack that I see from the Lions as far as their rushing game is concerned is they're really going at the strength of the Bear defense right now, trying to run the ball right at McMichael and Hampton and Singletary in the middle. something a lot of teams haven't had a lot of success doing, but you got to like the way the Lions are controlling the ball at this stage.
It'll be second down and 7 for the Lions on the Bear 25. Jones and Page are the running. There goes Page. Hilger. And the pass is caught by the tight end Pat Carter just before Hilger took a whack. Maurice Douglas made the stop on the rookie tight end.
This is a quarterback's worst nightmare, is the blitz off the blind side where he gets it right in the back. Good job of staying in the pocket, but Morrissey comes free, and he gets Hilger just as he lets it go. And you know that ground is very hard hitting it like that.
Carter's catch is good enough for a first down for the Lions. They're on the Chicago 16, first down. And on a fake reverse, Gary James goes around in and is knocked out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Bestie Jackson and Mike Singletary combine to make the play, and of course you can expect some razzle-dazzle from the Detroit Lions today. As we pointed out, nothing to lose. Wayne Fontes is anxious to do these things.
Well, he wants to open up his offense. He wants to create some excitement. Last week, Pete Manley scored on a end around in a very similar situation from about 21 yards out. This time they fake the end around, and James keeps it and picks up a nice gain. So Fontes is going to do a lot of different things today. Could open his offense up and maybe have some success doing it.
Lions have held the ball for 6 minutes now. Second down and 5 on the Chicago 11, and a timeout is called. So Rusty Hilger calls the timeout. Those are some of the shots from upstairs that the Bears checking out what the Lions are doing.
It takes time to get your gal to see the light.
Threatening in a big way here. This is a stunning statistic here. Detroit outrushing Chicago 51-19.
That is really remarkable when you consider that in their first game, the Lions all game long only rushed for 42 yards.
It'll be second down and 5 at the 11-yard line for the Lions. Driving up the middle is Gary James. James to about the 7. Singletary on the stop. In fact, the Lions, who are averaging a paltry 76 yards rushing a game this season, and that 51 looms large, particularly against that Chicago Bear defense against the run. Now, this is the drive. They've controlled the ball. This the 11th play will be coming up. It'll be third down and 2 for the Lions.
This is where the Lions have also had trouble, is in their third down conversions. They're only converting on 32% of these situations, but today they seem like a different ball club.
Dick Shapura is in there in the middle, a 5-man defensive line for the Bears on 3rd and 2. On the 7. Hilger fires and throws it away, incomplete. Storming in was Maurice Douglas and Mike Singletary. But he avoided the sack, and that'll bring up 4th down, and the Lions will now try to attempt to tie the game.
When you're not having a lot of success in a certain area, you do anything to try to make some success. That time the Lions went with a little bootleg. Got to give Hilger a tip of the hat for throwing that ball away and not taking the sack, giving his kicker good range position.
Ed Murray's only miss this year was from 52 yards. This is a 25-yard attempt to tie the game. And the kick is good. So Ed Murray and Kevin Butler have each kicked field goals, and with 7:19 to go in the first half, we're all even at Soldier Field, 3-3.
Beauty has its price. The cars on the left and right cost over $50,000. The car in the middle costs under $15,000. This is Chrysler LeBaron Turbo, and at that price, it may well be the most beautiful car in the world. LeBaron, beauty with a passion for driving.
Seabird bring a sweater?
Every day, Northwest flies from more of the U.S. to more of Asia than any other airline.
It takes time to get your gal to see the light. It takes time. It isn't always love inside. From the first little glance till she's ready for romance. Remember, little man, it takes time. It takes time to make the coffee.
Cold, huh?
Even with all that.
Even coming from the North Pole. Probably thought he'd get a break coming down here all the way to Chicago.
This is the North Pole. Ed Murray will kick off for the Lions, and Thomas Sanders and Dennis Gentry are back deep for the Bears. 3-3 to score. And a squib kick on the ground, picked up at the 25-yard line by Brad Muster, the rookie from Stanford. There's another good race in progress in the NFC Western Division. Saints and 49ers are tied for the lead with the Rams one game behind, and a huge showdown coming up in the second half of our CBS doubleheader. It'll be New Orleans against San Francisco at Candlestick Park, and the Rams playing host to the Atlanta Falcons. So all four teams in the NFC West are in action. Don't discount those Atlanta Falcons, but Saints-49er game is a huge one. First and 10 for the Bears on their own 37, double tight end alignment. Jim Covert jumped off sides, and that'll be a 5-yard penalty against Chicago.
False start, number 74, 5 yards, first down.
And of course, every time the Lions hang in there, and you see where Green Bay still leads against Minnesota, that gives them a lot more confidence to remain in the game for as long as they can.
Well, they're a completely different ball club since Wayne Fontes has taken over. He's given them a whole brand new attitude. Some people are calling it a winning attitude. Well, we'll see as this one goes on today, but they're playing very good football right now.
First down and 15 for the Bears, back to their 32. Anderson fumbles, and it's recovered by, nope, let's wait and see. The Lions may have it, and they do. It was in the hands of Benny Blades and out, and Chris Spielman made the recovery for the Lions. So a big turnover here in the second quarter.
Let's give the Lions some credit for some hard hitting here. Let's see who makes this ball come loose. Jerry Ball pops it loose, and now Blades had a chance to pick it up, but there's Chris Spielman, a guy that's been around the ball all year long. But we talked about the Lions and how they're got to be feeling about themselves. Well, this turnover here gives them great field position and also continues their little bit of momentum that they've developed here in the second quarter.
Spielman wound up with it. Blades first had a shot. So now the Lions have the ball again. You can see the turnover ratio has improved under Wayne Fontes in Bear territory at their 35. Hilger loops it out in a high toss to Gary James. Right now, let's check in with Brent Musburger in New York for an NFL Today update. Brent, what do you have?
Dick, the Packers defense holds 3 downs. 4th down for Minnesota, and a hook by Nelson. They can't get on the board against the Packers. 7-0, and Houston has 2 touchdowns from Rozier. They're shutting out the Bengals. Back to Dick.
So the Bears now have their own problems right now. Forget about what's going on in Green Bay. They're trying to keep the Lions from taking the lead. It's 2nd down and 10 Detroit on the 35 of Chicago. Hilger making the fine grab is Manley, and then goes out of bounds inside the 30-yard line. Mike Richardson covering on the play. That will bring up 3rd and short for Detroit.
Hilger did a nice job of recognizing the man coverage from the Bears. Audible brought Manley in a little bit tighter and ran him on a quick out. This is what he wants to do to keep that pass rush off him, throw the ball quickly, and be able to read that defense.
Troy Johnson, a rookie linebacker, has come in along with David Tate and Todd Crum, secondary people. Look for the pass rush from Johnson, a rookie from Oklahoma. It'll be 3rd down and 4 for the Lions. They have 4 wide receivers, including a stack, which is broken up by Manley in motion. Fumble the snap. The Bears have it back. Dan Hampton. Al Harris, not Hampton. Harris on the recovery.
This is why a lot of teams don't like the shotgun formation, because you never know about a snap from center. This one goes right by Hilger, had a little bit too much on it from Steve Mott, and now the crazy bounce of the ball as it goes away from Rusty and right into the arms of Al Harris. On a cold day, very difficult to be able to finesse that ball back between your legs to the quarterback. Very difficult for a player like Steve Mott, who's not used to these conditions.
Al Harris with the recovery, and now the Bears on their own 46-yard line get the ball back in a 3-3 game with the Lions. Harbaugh going deep for the first time to Gentry. And it's knocked away incomplete by Jerry Holmes, who is with Gentry step for step.
Harbaugh's going to try to go deep off the little play action here to Gentry, but Jerry Holmes is not going to buy it. Good protection off the play action. Good throw by Harbaugh, but Jerry Holmes has it all the way, goes up and breaks it up.
And a good, safe, long call on that play, Dan, especially since Harbaugh has been working short to get his confidence up.
A lot of teams want to throw the ball deep, try to hit the bomb after a turnover.
Brad Muster, the rookie from Stanford, is in the lineup in the backfield. Harbaugh throws, and Boso holds onto it. A completed pass at the 48-yard line of Chicago. The Lions feel it's an incomplete pass, and then now they rule it incomplete. So Boso did not hold on, and it'll be third down.
We may have our first review of the day. Even if we don't, let's take a look here. Here's Boso, number 86 here. Harbaugh throwing on the run. That looks like a catch to me from this situation, but then it's kind of slipped away as he hit the ground.
He had it, and it came out, so it'll be third down and 10. 4 wide receivers for the Bears. 3 on the left side. Penalty marker down. We may have a holding call as Harbaugh runs and gets the first down. He is crunched hard by Benny Blades. Gain of 13, but we may have a holding penalty against Chicago.
We have a holding. We also have illegal motion against Dennis Gentry. He was in motion heading towards the line of scrimmage. This one's coming back, and it'll set up a 3rd and long.
You're right, 2 calls against the Bears.
There also should have been a call, though, against Blades for hitting Harbaugh late. Once the quarterback hits the ground, he's giving himself up, and he's not supposed to be hit by anybody, and maybe the referees ran out of flags.
Holding, number 74. Illegal motion was declined. Third down.
Jim Covert, the left tackle.
Let's take a look at the late hit here. Harbaugh is going to give himself up. The ball should be marked down right there, and that's an illegal hit right there, especially when you notice how he came in with his helmet into Harbaugh's ribs.
Heath Van Horn is now back in the game at left tackle. Wojciechowski is the right tackle for the Bears. Third down and 20. Penalty flag is down. Harbaugh going deep for Gentry, and he is hit hard on the incomplete by Devon Mitchell. So you can say now that the Bear receivers and Harbaugh experiencing the hard hitting of the Lions secondary.
You won't get many harder hits than Devon Mitchell put on Gentry that time. But this will all come back also because of a penalty.
Offside, number 76, 5 yards, third down.
Eric Williams, number 76.
Williams is right here. Notice how close he is to the ball. He's going off the intonation of the quarterback instead of noticing where the ball is and what its movement. That's an inexcusable mistake by a defensive lineman. Now let's look at the hit by Devon Mitchell. This is what Fonts was talking about. Whoa, that's a great one. If you're a Lion fan. I'm sure that Dennis Gentry's family didn't like it too much.
Few penalties thus far. It'll be third down and 15 for the Bears on their own 41-yard line. Harbaugh gets time, and he completes the pass to McKinnon, who's short of a first down. Dennis McKinnon is about 3 yards shy of first down yardage. He picked up 12. He needed 15, and it'll be 4th down as Devon Mitchell made the tackle.
If he only had eyes in back of his head, he would have picked up this 1st down very easily. When he made the catch, he turned back to his left instead of going on to his right. The defensive back had slipped down, and he came up a couple of yards shy.
Brian Wagner will kick, and Manley is back. Take it from one who knows it's great to have eyes in the back of your head.
I could have used them on a few Sundays, believe me.
Here's Wagner's kick, and it's a good one. Manley inside the 10. And he's wrapped up at the 20-yard line by Dante Jones. Well, next Saturday, beginning with the NFL Today at noon Eastern, CBS Sports presents an interconference matchup as the Washington Redskins square off against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are looking to build momentum going into the playoffs. They're losing right now, however. Then the NCAA basketball season tips off on CBS as the DePaul Blue Demons travel to Georgetown to meet John Thompson's 4th-ranked Hoyas. And this will be Georgetown's first major college test of the season. That's NFL action followed by the season premiere college basketball next Saturday on CBS Sports. 1st down Lions on their 21. Page, who rambled 20 yards the first time he touched the ball today, brings it out to the 25, a gain of 4. Ron Rivera and Mike Singletary on the stop. A lot closer game than people anticipated, with 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first half. Lions and Bears are tied 3-3. Pair of field goals, all the scoring thus far.
The Lion defense really did a good job there of surviving that turnover. That could have been disastrous for the Lions after the way they've been moving the ball so effectively.
Ball is on the Lion 25, 2nd and 6. Hilger with some time. Pass is not on the mark to Gary James. Will bring up 3rd down. Dave Duerson on the coverage.
Hilger just off the mark that time, but you know, he has really improved this year, especially when you look at where he was back in July with the Raiders. He was 4th team, 5th team, not even getting a chance, was released by the Raiders, came to the Lions. Now when Fonts takes over, he adds 2 personal tutors, Lynn Dickey and Mouse Davis, 2 guys that have really helped settle Hilger down, giving him a lot of confidence.
3rd and 6, 4 wide receivers for the Lions, including Stephen Starring, the former Patriot and Buccaneer. Hilger's pass, and it's caught for a 1st down by Stephen Starring and knocked out of bounds by Duerson. It'll be a Lion 1st down and a gain of 19 yards.
One of the ways you see a quarterback gain in confidence is how well he throws the deep out pattern. Hilger here gets great protection from his offensive line. They keep Jones in as an extra blocker, but he throws this ball on a rope to Starring, and they pick up another 3rd down conversion.
Hilger at 6'4", and strong, can hang in there against pressure in the pocket. Starring, he showed a tremendous amount of speed when he played for New England. 1st down. Lions on their 44-yard line. Fumble. Hilger wraps it up, but a loss on the play of 4 yards.
You notice Hilger isn't wearing any gloves out there, and I can guarantee you his hands are very, very cold. In this type of weather, you start to lose the feeling in your fingers, and it becomes very difficult. That ball is like a very hard, slippery rock, and it's very difficult to handle it sometimes.
I know you love playing in this kind of weather.
You see the gloves I got on. These are thanks to the freezer bowl we played in Cincinnati one year.
You've got your mittens on today. 2nd down and 14 following the loss. Hilger going deep. And it's tipped away, intended for Pete Manley. And Mike Richardson on a fine play. Good play by Richardson, who did not start against the Rams after he missed a meeting and was benched at the beginning.
Well, this play is very close to being about a 55-yarder for a touchdown. Hilger is a nice throw, but this play by Richardson is just wonderful. If the ball is thrown maybe a yard further, Richardson can't make that play, but it's important for him to play good football because he's been in that thing they call around here Ditka's doghouse the last couple of weeks.
Third down and 14.
That's not a good place to be in Chicago.
Or anywhere. Ailger completes the pass, but they're well short of first down yardage. Manley on the catch. And Al Harris wrapped him up. It'll be fourth down as the clock winds down to 3 minutes remaining in the first half. And Jim Arnold will come in to punt it away for the Lions. Going back is Dennis McKinnon for the Bears. Into the wind, an end-over-end kick. McKinnon picks it up at the 22 and is downed immediately by Rob Rubik. Soldier Field, Chicago, on a cold and windy Sunday with snow flurries. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts. And a bit of surprise thus far. The Lions and the Bears are all tied 3-3. 2:39 remaining in the second quarter. Each team has kicked a field goal and each team has turned the ball over one time.
Each team has struggled with the elements. The field getting a little slippery. Receivers have dropped some balls. We've had an errant snap from center in a shotgun formation, a couple of fumbles. So the offenses are really struggling.
But the Lions have outrushed the Bears in a big way, and that's a surprise. Thomas Sanders is the lone back for Chicago. Harbaugh with a screen pass to Wendell Davis. And Davis gets the first down the sideline to the 36. Bruce McNorton and George Jameson on the play. Gain of 12.
Good teamwork there for the Bears as Morris was in the slot. Once the ball was thrown to Davis, he came up and made a key block.
We're getting close to the 2-minute warning. The Bears have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. First down for the Bears on their own 36. Sanders joined by Brad Muster now in the backfield. And the whistle blows. They did not get the snap off before the 2-minute warning. So they had a play which is now nullified. 2-minute warning and will return.
Christmas Eve, Army and Alabama.
Hard capacity, and their job basically, Dan, is to do what?
Well, they retrieve the ball after it goes through the uprights and hits the net. They get the ball and they give it back to the referee. The team's going in the other direction, so they're taking it easy right now. But you know what? They got in free. They're happy.
And they've got good seats.
They're in the front row.
There's the timeout story. Bears have all 3 of theirs. They have a first down also on their 36. 3-3 to score. Harbaugh swings it out, and it's Sanders. Runs out of bounds and stops the clock. Gets just about to the 40-yard line. Gain of nearly 4. George Jameson and Jerry Holmes on the play. Updating the Packers and the Vikings. Vikings finally get on the board. Nelson missed a field goal earlier, but came back with one, and it's still 7-3 now. Green Bay in the second quarter. What it's like on the Chicago sideline as they want to stay warm.
I always love looking over to our bench and seeing the punter warm up. You know, here we're out on the field trying to go down the field, get yardage, get in the end zone, and here's a, a real confidence booster there.
I know it'll be 3 and out. They'll want me. Second down and 7. Harbaugh the run, and he faked flipping it to Anderson and held on to it. Still a yard. Well, let's see where they down him. They'll down him at the 43-yard line. George Jameson. Clock is running. It'll be third down and 2. Harbaugh's pass is incomplete. He was going for McKinnon, who claims he was hit and pushed by William White, but it'll be incomplete, and fourth down coming up for the Bears.
William White is playing actually as a linebacker in this situation in the nickel coverage, and he drops into his zone, sees the hook pattern in front of him, maybe got there a little bit early. A lot of fans here thought he did, but he didn't get the call. Good play by William White.
And Manley goes back for the Lions. He'll have a shot with 1:26 remaining in the half as Brian Wagner gets set to kick for the 5th time in this first half. Gets off a good kick. Manley at the 12 or the 17. Pete Manley with a good return gets it back to the 30. He brought it back 13 yards. Well, coming up at halftime, Brent, Irv, and Dick will have all the scores and highlights, and Leslie Visser has the story of the New Orleans Saints who seem to have lost their rhythm. It's all coming up at halftime.
We'll find out about that rhythm coming up in the second half of our doubleheader. The Saints, couple weeks ago, led the Niners by 2 games. They find themselves in a tie right now. Should be a great one out there at Candlestick.
Amazing how Detroit has moved the ball better than the Chicago Bears, both on the ground and everywhere thus far.
Well, the big play that really got them going was Tony Page's 20-yard run that led to a field goal.
1st and 10 for the Lions. On their 30-yard line, they have 2 timeouts remaining with 1:14 showing on the clock. Score is tied 3-3. Gary James loses a yard or so. Steve McMichael in on the stop, and now the Bears call a timeout. Their first timeout of this first half. What I want to know is, why am I wearing a coat and you don't have an overcoat on, and it's supposed to be so cold up here?
Well, I tell you what, Dick, you're just not as tough as the old QB.
I guess. 2nd down and 11. And he is an old QB, folks. On the 29, the Lions have 4 wide receivers. Hilger completes the pass to Stephen Starring, and a tough catch in traffic. He's short of a first down by less than a yard. Mike Singletary and Dave Duerson on the stop. Clock is running. Lions with 2 timeouts left.
Starring's come off the bench to make 2 good catches. Not an easy thing to do. You know, he's sitting over there on the heater.
But what you don't want here is confusion, and that's what the Lions offense looks like right now. And they're wasting a lot of time.
Well, they're wanting to waste that time. They're looking to just run this clock out. Didn't like their field position, and Fonts is going to play it conservatively.
What do you think about that? You're tied 3-3. If you have nothing to lose, why do you have to play it conservatively?
I have no idea. I tell you what, I would go for it every time. I love this situation in a football game.
And they give it to Gary James. James will have the first down. Al Harris on the stop, but the Lions show no inclination to at least trying to get into field goal range. And now they call a timeout with 4 seconds to go. And explain that one to me.
Well, they're really sending a lot of mixed messages out here. Fonts talked all week about, since he's been there, opening his offense up. They're having a lot of success today. They're in a situation with a couple of timeouts where they're moving the ball, and they showed a lot of confusion as to what their personnel should be in the ball game. And now using a really meaningless timeout here with 4 seconds to go. Only one thing they can do now is throw the Hail Mary pass and hope for a either a pass interference penalty or a lucky play for a touchdown.
And it is a meaningless timeout. In fact, could be a dangerous one, because it gives the Bears another shot at getting a turnover and maybe returning something. If you're not going to try to get into field goal range, let the clock run out. They have no shot for a field goal. In fact, other than that Hail Mary, they have no shot for anything.
Very dangerous. As you said, Dick, the turnover we saw earlier was from shotgun formation. Hilger will take this snap from under center, or will he? He's back in shotgun formation. I don't understand this at all.
4 seconds to go. The Lions are on their own 42-yard line. Hilger completes it to Manley, and that'll do it for the first half. You wonder if they had done that a few seconds earlier, they might have had a shot for the Chicago Bears. And a big edge, and look at even the time of possession edge had narrowed down where it's virtually even. Now the Lions have more than held their own in the first half this year, but what happens in the second half, a different story.
Well, you got to wonder how Wayne Fonts is going to deal with this. He's made a lot of